Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who've been subscribed since the beginning and still support me now, I cannot express my gratitude. And for anyone who is new, a very, very warm welcome to you. I've enjoyed an extended break away from YouTube. A lot has gone on in my life and I won't bore you with the details, but it's wonderful to be back. On this channel, I like to focus on the practical concepts of metaphysics rather than focusing on specific outcomes. I think it's really useful for us to know how metaphysics works in practice, and then we can go off and use that practice any way we choose. For me, the focus is always on my spiritual evolution rather than on material things. However, I think it's important or valuable to use gains that we make in our human lives as a measure or a metric for how well we are understanding who we are really substantively and how we are able to understand and interpret the concepts of metaphysics in a Judeo-Christian context. I won't go into what I mean by Judeo-Christian right now, but it's not limited to the sort of consensus on what that is as a religious idea. I'm talking about something else, but I won't talk about that now. Anyway, what I wanted to share in this upload is just going back over the spiritual language of emotion. When we talk about emotions and feelings, we are talking about the means of communication from the divine to us as human beings. We're not separate from the divine. I'm talking about the way in which God, which is absolute causation, communicates with us on a human level, or how we understand the communication of God on a human level. And that's why I believe Neville Goddard refers to feeling as being the secret. Once you understand your feelings, once you understand the spiritual language of emotion, you can tell consciousness what shape to take. And you can understand what God or consciousness is communicating to you and to use that information effectively. And as I say, you then go on to see the ways in which you're able to use this information to improve your life, let's say, and use that as a measurable guide of how well you're doing, let's say. I think sometimes it can be a little bit confusing when it comes to understanding what it is that our human minds are telling us and what it is that the divine is telling us. The easiest way to distinguish between feelings that are a product of human thought and the feelings that are impressed upon us by the divine is this. Divinity impresses upon us a particular feeling, and those feelings inspire thoughts and ideas. Our human feelings are the product of our thoughts first. So it's the reverse of what happens with the divine. So I'll say that again. The divine impresses a feeling on you, and that feeling inspires a thought, an idea, and so on, a behavior. But on the human side, our human minds think something, and those thoughts produce the feeling. If you want to understand it even more sophisticatedly, our human thoughts are always rooted in logic and reason. And so even if you're contemplating something that you're very excited about, you're really going to be thinking about all the things that can't happen, or all the things that you need to be cautious about, or that could go wrong, and so on. And that leads to a sort of contracted sensation in the body. Whereas with the divine, knowing all things are possible, those thoughts inspire elevation, expansion, to use a word by someone who's very dear to me. Boris, I hope you're listening to this upload. So our divine thoughts that are the products of the feelings impressed upon us are always inspirational, loving, wonderful, and so on. And it doesn't mean that we can't have loving human thoughts, but they will be tempered by things that we're concerned about and how what we're doing might affect others, and so on and so forth. So that's a very, very easy way for you to distinguish between the feelings that are a product of your own human thoughts and the feelings that you experience that are a product of an impression of the divine. Now, I literally just picked up my phone today to record this little upload to break the ice and to come back to my YouTube channel. So do forgive me if I don't flow as I typically do in my uploads. In order to understand our feelings, and I think I'll go into this in more detail in upcoming uploads, but one of the things that I think is really important is to really understand what we mean so that the terms that come up in metaphysics don't feel quite so euphemistic and vague. If you are unclear of what we mean by feeling in a metaphysical context, well, I always say use your body as apparatus. Our feelings are understood by us biologically as sensations, and those sensations we then interpret. So, for example, if you have a sensation of hunger, you have the sensation first, and then you later interpret what that sensation is telling you as I need sustenance, I need something to drink, or I need something to eat. Similarly, if you're tired or if you're excited, you get the sensation, and then we know how to interpret that sensation by what our human mind or consciousness, understanding, and so on tells us. When we talk about awareness, we are talking about noticing that sensation. In a metaphysical context, sustained awareness is focusing on what it is you're noticing. So, to become aware, you notice something, so you experience a sensation and you notice it. And then to sustain, as I say, that sensation, you focus on it. So that's what we mean by awareness in a metaphysical context. And it's these little things that help us to understand how to use the concepts of metaphysics more effectively and more practically. What we are aiming to do is to be really clear about the sensations we wish to hold our attention on, the sensations we wish to focus on. And it's that which actually informs our physical bodies about what to do. It informs our circumstances and the conditions. So as we interact with these sensations, the desirable sensations, the sensations that are taking us forward, that are eliminating fear, that are eliminating doubt, that are helping us to love ourselves, to love each other, and so on, to put down the sort of silly divisions that we have constructed to compete with each other, we then begin to grow because we are moving towards the state of consciousness of love, which is non-judgment in metaphysics. When you reach that state of love, which is neutrality, you are going to be at your most potent, and you're going to be able to tell consciousness to do anything you want it to do, because our circumstances, conditions, etc., are the product of us telling consciousness what shape to take. And this process is teaching us, as the individualized conceptions of absolute causation, to become more like absolute causation. Now, as I say, it doesn't really matter what your ambition in life is at this time. The thing that's important is understanding how all of these processes work together so that you can use them for whatever outcome you choose. So I would encourage you, if you are seeking a partner or looking for money or jobs or whatever it is, the sorts of things that are very popular in this sort of genre, if you like, do go for those things. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Remember, God is the progenitor of all our desires, and our duty is to consent to those desires. But start to think today about the sensations that you are focusing on, and notice those that are divine, and give yourself the ability, exercise your ability rather, to defer to the sensations that are divine in place of the sensations that come from our own human thoughts, because our human thoughts are by design limiting, whereas the sensations we notice from the divine are the ones that are going to expand us and to take us forwards. I do hope you find this little upload useful, inspirational. I look forward to being with you again on my channel, and until we are together again, stay phenomenally you. Bye for now.